Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special episode of the Starcast. We've got one of the most famous fan voices in the world of football, Lee Judges from Arsenal Fan TV, the man himself. Lee, welcome to our show, and thank you so much for being a part of this.
No problems at all.
So Lee, I heard your review on sort of AFTV last night, and you said it was a point sort of well earned, but I mean, it was a point that was fair for both sides, rather. So, but do you think somewhere you believe deep down that Arsenal should have won that game a little more than United? Because I personally think United should have won more than Arsenal.
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose. I think you can both teams can think that. If I'll be honest, I think when I looked at the lineup, I'll be honest. When we had the players we had missing, I'd have took a point, But once you watch the game and everything that went with it, I was slightly disappointed that we didn't win the game. But then when you look back, I think Man United had the better chances. But we had some good chances as well. Willian should have probably scored. A great block from Maguire, from Pepe. Two great saves in the game. Leno saving the first half from Fred was unbelievable save. And also De Gea's one against Smith Rowe. So all in all, I think you could look at it both ways. I think if you was a Man United fan, you could be a little bit disappointed after seeing a lineup that they never really went for it. And Arsenal, on the other hand, could turn around and say, with the players we had out, we've done well and we could have won the game. So I'll tell you what I thought, though. I don't know what you think. I thought it was an intense game. I thought it could have gone either way. I thought it was a good game to watch.
Yeah, so
it was like the neutral, but for us fans, it was intense.
So I think, Lee, this was one of the better games I think Arsenal and United have both played against one of the bigger teams, because I feel a lot of our games against the big teams have either been us on the receiving end or sort of slow, boring nil-alls or that kind of a fixture. I think there were enough chances, like you rightly said, and I think Edinson Cavani missing that open goal. I mean, it was really frustrating. But like you said, I think. Sorry, come again.
It was good.
Well, from one perspective, definitely. But I think Willian as well, like you rightly said, Pepe, I mean, I think Pepe has decided that he's going to turn up biannually against Manchester United because he doesn't seem to be bothered otherwise, does he?
No, he does it against Man United. That's very true, very true.
What do you make of the Pepe signing, actually, Lee? That's an interesting one there, because 72 million on a player that you could argue that you all didn't really need at that point.
I think it's a strange signing, if I'll be honest. It's certainly not worth £72 million. I think that he's a good player, but I think 30 million, and I think people would be a little bit more willing with him, if you know what I mean. If, like, I've heard people today and that saying that, he should have took the chances that he did, but that's because they're looking at him as a £72 million player, and I don't think that he is. But a very, very strange signing. But I will say that the last couple of games, he's picked up his game, and his work rate yesterday was fantastic. So hopefully he can, get a run in the side now and start proving his worth. Listen, you know as much as me that some signings don't work, and you spend over the odds, and it just, for whatever reason, doesn't work. And we've all had them through the years, and I'm not too sure if it's going to be one that we'll turn around in a couple of years and say, what a great signing. I think it could go the other way. But, the last couple of games, there's been improvement, and there's no doubt in his ability. You look at someone like Pogba, he's got ability, and he started to produce it in the last few games. So these, and I think if you'd be honest as well, Pogba probably is in the same sort of boat as Pepe, as much as so, like, everybody's saying, oh, it's 90 odd million or whatever it was. And we all know that he wasn't worth that amount of money. So they probably get a little bit of a raw deal because of that. So, but when they play, they perform, but they don't do it enough to justify that transfer fee.
Right. I mean, I understand where you're coming from the perspective of the fee, but I do think that Pogba had more proven pedigree than Pepe, whereas sort of Pepe came in very raw.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I'm just saying, like, Pepe's not been there as long as Pogba. There's been a few seasons with Pogba. This season, I think Paul Pogba's been brilliant, by the way. He's really upped his game. He really has. But he hasn't done that for the last few years. So that's what I'm saying. Pepe might be able to do that. And I also think, people don't realise the burden of that transfer fee. And I think that probably it has took its toll on Pogba, and I think it's taken its toll on Pepe. That's the comparison. But certainly probably this season has produced, definitely.
Absolutely. So, Lee, just going back to the game, do you think from an Arsenal perspective, you would have taken that point before the game started, given how Arsenal's run had been and United coming off the back of a loss to Sheffield? Or were you sort of disappointed? You were expecting a win rather?
Oh, no, look, before kickoff or when the teams come out, I expected Saka to be there. I didn't, and I also expected Tierney to be there as well. So when you look at that and you add Aubameyang to that, we had probably our three best players at this moment in time on current form, and not and Aubameyang as Aubameyang is. So I did feel very, very disappointed by that. So when I see that team sheet, you see Man United at their strongest, and taking into Man United's current away form, which is second to none, by the way, I would have took a point, But after watching the game, and I didn't think Man United, if I'd be honest, really went for it. I think that they, we was a little bit vulnerable. Man United have done that a couple of times now. I think they had Liverpool a little bit vulnerable. No, so was it Man City or one in the league? And they just was far too cautious. I thought they was a little bit too cautious yesterday. But in the context of it all, Man United would have said, right, we beat Sheffield United, we draw at Arsenal. They'd have been very, very pleased with that. That would have been a good week's work. And obviously, like by losing to Sheffield United, that probably Man United would be thinking, well, a point, perhaps we should have gone for the free. But all in all, I think that we're disappointed because we're at home and we didn't win the game. You'll be disappointed because it was a weakened Arsenal team and you didn't capitalise on that. Home advantage nowadays, is that a big thing? I'm not so sure now with the current climate, I have to say. So all in all, I think that from our point of view, if we can go and win, say at Wolves on Tuesday, and then go and beat Aston Villa on the Saturday, we look at this and go, do you know what? Man United at home was a good point. At the moment, there's a little bit of disappointment because we didn't take all three. But, you have to look at it in the context of what team we had out and what Man United had out. I think a point's a fair result, and both of us move on to hopefully bigger and better things.
Right. I think you hit the nail on the head by saying that had we won at Sheffield, I think this point would have just been fine and we would have moved on. But the loss to Sheffield and a draw at Arsenal sort of hurts a little bit. I mean, I'm a personal believer that we sold Jesse Lingard, loaned him out one game too early. I think he would have produced the goods at the Emirates.
He always does. Well, you talk about Pepe, he's the same with us, for Lingard. He never does anything else, Jesse Lingard. But he does it against Arsenal, so at the Emirates. So thankfully, now he's at West Ham. We've already played him at the Emirates, so it doesn't matter.
Fair point. But Liam, let me ask you this: Mikel Arteta and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer seem to can't catch a break even if they win 5 games in a row. All the talk is about what's wrong with them. Whereas a certain manager who's now been sacked, who is this sort of media darling, supposed to be a tactical genius. So how do you put that into perspective? You are right there in London at the heart of it. How do you put that into perspective? Frank Lampard, the darling of the media, this great guy who's working miracles, and now he's gone, and Arteta and Oli have proved their worth almost.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I think that maybe because he's English. I think it may be something to do with it, from that point of view. They're going to back their own. And, listen, I think that Frank Lampard, I think we can both turn around and say that it's harsh, unfair, but, that is Chelsea's DNA. Manchester United and Arsenal, I think if you have a look at it with Ollie and with Mikel Arteta, they're both fortunate to still be at the clubs from the runs that they've had. But the clubs have stuck with them, and Ollie's gone on to, challenge for the title this season. You're still in the title race. I don't care what anybody says. With a league where results can happen at any stage, I don't think you could say like, oh, Man United are out of it. So Man United, you would look at it and say, have done the right thing by backing him and keeping him there. And you could probably say the same for Mikel Arteta. I think he's very fortunate after the run he had before Christmas to get where he was. And then just one result, as you well know, just turns it all around. And the home win against Chelsea on Boxing Day, which, by the way, I never see coming, gets the result. And then all of a sudden, Arsenal have hit a little bit of form. So I think there could be saying with both clubs that they've kept with their play because they've played for the Arsenal and played for Manchester United. And the other thing is, I think with Man United, they've probably sacked a couple of managers maybe a little bit too quickly, so they probably felt that they was backed into a corner to really back Ollie, and it's worked. And I think that because Arsenal sacked Emery, I feel that and Arsenal, by the way, have never been a sacking club, so I think that from that point of view, I think that that's why Arsenal probably stuck with him, and let's say we get the rewards from it.
Yeah, yeah. But Lee, the thing is that sort of even watching from an outside perspective of watching AFTV as well, people are split on Arteta, and there's sort of. So, what has your sort of experience been with that, and how have you seen him evolve over the games? And are you still wholly convinced on him, or are there some lingering doubts yet?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be doubts. I think there's always lingering doubts because basically he's inexperienced and he's learning on the job, and sometimes he's going to make mistakes. And listen, when Arsenal lose, we don't like it. The fans don't like it, and so I think that he has made mistakes. I think the continuing, I would say, like to continually keep playing Bellerin. I think over certain players is got the Arsenal fans a little bit 50-50. Obviously, results is a big thing. When you're winning football games, no one's really mentioning about Arteta and under pressure now because we've won football games. It's as simple as that. When he wasn't winning football games, we're not going to be happy. Same with Man United. The only way to stop people not talking about Ollie and Mikel Arteta is to win games of football, and that is what both teams have done. Now, if Man United were to say lose their next 3 games, Ollie would come under certain pressure again. Of course, I think it's the nature of the beast. Same with Arteta. If Arteta now goes on a losing run, the fans are going to say, "Oh no, he's not good enough." And I think that what I think does happen is. I think that with the fan base, you always want the big name. You always want the one that's got the trophies, done this, done that. And both of our teams didn't really do that. So we went with a little bit of inexperience. But, at the moment, I think it's, I would say it's 60-40 in Arteta at the moment. But that's because he's won his few games. You're always going to get the fans that are going to go with results. And I think that's the way to be. Listen, as I say, it's not just Frank Lampard that lost his job. The Cardiff manager lost his job after not getting 6 games, not winning his 6 games. Look at Celtic now, he's under tremendous pressure up there, so it's the nature of the beast, and you're going to get fans that are not going to be happy. A lot of fans, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of fans didn't want Arteta because he was inexperienced. And it is the thing, we've gone to the Emirates, we need an experienced manager, with what was going on. And I think there's a little bit of that to it.
Right. I think that's a fair point. I mean, as Arsenal fans, as United fans, we come to expect a certain standard, and anything short of it is not acceptable. But what I wanted to ask you is this as well. I've seen a lot of videos of you and the other guys on AFTV. How much of it is sort of in-match reaction, and then do you often sit back and be like, maybe we overreacted there, maybe that wasn't the case? Does that happen often?
100%, because you've just watched a game of football. It's even more intense when you're at the game because you've got the emotions of the game and everything like that. So that's what makes that the fan cam so good, because it is raw. It's raw. It's straight after the game. Now, when you're in the environment of the studio, it's slightly different. You don't see the game in the same way, but you certainly look at things and what you're seeing at that moment in time. And then when you get home and someone say, "Well, I don't think that was right," or "didn't do that," and you have a look at it back on Match of the Day or on Sky, and you think, "Yeah, I may be a little bit harsh on him or whatever," and that's how it is. But what it is and what it makes so special is it is raw. And that's what it is all about. It's something that is not there. You've got fans coming out. Now, listen, my views on Arsenal's game today is slightly not as raw as what it was yesterday. So and that's how it is. By tomorrow, you're in a different frame of mind where you're not. If you've lost, you've not so got the ump so much. But it's all about that, if you've won, probably if you look at it, if Arsenal win, I'll probably go overboard. And if we lose, we go overboard. But that's the emotion of the fan and what it is on the day, and that's how it is.
Absolutely. Well, I asked you this question because there's been so much criticism on fan channels, and it's almost, if you were to listen to that, it almost seems like Aubameyang stopped scoring because of AFTV, or Xhaka threw his shirt off because of AFTV. And I don't get that, because at the end of the day, if not for us, why does the game exist? So what would you say to those people then?
Listen, football's changed. Football has changed. The whole, from when I first started going to what it is like now, it's a completely different game. And the fact of the matter is, social media has changed it as well. And with social media becomes these sort of platforms and fan cams and all that. And it's just another way of doing it. Now, what people don't like about them is that because, say, if like Manchester United lose, everybody jumps on the Man. I'm sure Man United views are a lot higher when they lose, because other teams, and that's just that is the banter of the nature of the beast. Arsenal beat Manchester United yesterday. You would have got great. The draw, the views are going to always be down. That's just that is the nature of it. But fan cams and all that, a lot of people don't like them because it's something different. It's a change. But what the one thing, and maybe like things. I looked at that it's more important the views and whatever and things like that than instead of what the content is, which is something AFTV is trying to change. But the fact of the matter is, what I think is really good about it is that fans have got a voice now. Where 10 years ago you just paid your money, no one was interested. A couple of pints down the pub. And no, but these clubs now are accountable because they know that these things are happening. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they're aware of it, so they're aware of what fans are saying. Now, what I say, I don't speak for all Arsenal fans. I speak for myself, but and AFTV is the same. It's not a voice for the whole fan base. It's a voice for the individual that chooses to go on there. Now, some fans won't go on there, some do, and you're going to get difference of opinions. But ultimately, with also the pandemic, which has happened as well, which without the fans, you can see that it's not, the game's not the same without the fans. Yeah. So all of a sudden, the fans are important. They're as important, I'm not saying as important as the players and everything like that, but they're an important clog in the wheel, and that's how it is, and so it should be.
And Lee, the thing is that a lot of players have come out and said themselves that, without the fans, they themselves don't feel as motivated as they would. Because at the end of the day, it's for us that they're going out there. If you put it in one perspective, it is because of us they're earning the wages they are. So at the end of the day, without us, the sport doesn't exist. And, well, the traditional media doesn't like that for some reason.
No, exactly. And that is exactly right. And that is what it's all about. Now that actually changed a few years ago because of TV, because all of a sudden the gate money wasn't as important as it was back in the 70s and 80s and things like that. It was all about attendances. That's where you get your money from. TV changed that, but now so they weren't worried about what time they put it on for the travelling fan. They weren't worried about if you had to go to Manchester on a Monday night or Newcastle on a Tuesday night. They weren't bothered about that. Now, hopefully, they will be now. They'll look at it now and say to themselves, well, hold on a minute, like we need the fans. We need them in the stadiums. We need, it's not just about the TV. And that's how I look at it now. So hopefully, this will be an advantage to the fans going forward.
Right. Lee, in fact, you mentioned the 70s and 80s. That brings up an interesting thought in my mind. Even though Arsenal weren't particularly consistent in that period, do you think it was almost more enjoyable to go to the games because of the standing stadiums and the atmosphere around it?
100%. It was just better atmospheres and things like that. But also, which you have to understand from an Arsenal point of view, we wasn't taken away. Highbury was what I was growing as a kid going, like my dad taking me to the Arsenal. It was a big part of it, and one of the reasons that I supported Arsenal was because it was Highbury and going there with your dad and all those youth memories you had growing up as a kid. They took that away from us to build a new stadium to make money, not to win trophies, and that is the hurt from an Arsenal point of view, and that's why you get like what you get. But listen, we had some fantastic days. Winning at like White Hart Lane, and then winning at Anfield. The atmosphere, going to Old Trafford now. I'll tell you that now. The atmosphere at Old Trafford, going back when you was in the 80s, 90s, was early 90s, was sensational. You know what I mean? You go there now, and it's a disappointment to what it used to be. When all the Arsenal fans were, the away fans were behind the goal, and you'd have the whole end and things like that. Now you're stuck in corners or up and all that. It's not the same, and that is not a dig at Man United's atmosphere and all that, because all the clubs have got it. Tottenham have gone into a double their size of ground. It's nowhere near the atmosphere of what it was like at White Hart Lane with 34,000 fans. So it's just the way football is, and they were electric. Tottenham Arsenal games when it was standing and all that back in the 80s. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. And I remember going, I mean, I've watched games at almost all the big stadiums, and I think Stamford Bridge remains one of the best experiences because it's so close in. You
Yeah.
almost feel like you're on the pitch.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it is one of the best ones. Upton Park was a fantastic. Look what's happened at West Ham now. From Upton Park, which was this fantastic stadium with the rawness of the crowd and everything now, to what it's like now, and that is all about money. That's all about money, and that's a shame. So unfortunately, this pandemic come about probably a little bit too late, for West Ham fans. I think 10 years, if it had gone a little while, West Ham wouldn't have gone to that ground, and you wouldn't have lost one of the most iconic grounds in. That's the thing. You've lost White Hart Lane, you've lost Highbury, you've lost Upton Park, you've lost Roker Park. There's a lot of grounds. The baseball ground was a very, very iconic ground for Derby, and the Dell. You know what I mean? Like, it was a great little ground, So if I'm missing any out, and I'm sorry, but like, they were all great little ground, all taken away to build bigger and better stadiums. Well, they've probably made them bigger and better, but they've lost the atmosphere and that history of what those great grounds were.
Lee, I was actually going to ask you whether it was worth moving from Highbury to the Emirates, but clearly from a memories perspective and sort of the passion, it wasn't. And in fact, I've been to the place where Highbury used to be and the buildings there. And if you go in it, in a sense, you can actually feel sort of the goosebumps as to how it would have been if the fans would have been there.
Yeah.
So,
I've been fortunate enough to do that, but it's like I never, when I go to the Emirates now, I never go past Highbury. I make sure that I miss it, so that I don't have that. It's because it's too many painful memories. Because listen, if Arsenal were winning trophies year in, year out, I probably could suffer it. But the fact of the matter is that it isn't. And listen, it's a fantastic stadium. The Emirates is a fantastic stadium. It's got everything that you could want in a football ground, but it's not Highbury.
Yeah. You mentioned Anfield there, and I want to talk about that for a minute. The Michael Thomas goal, 2-0, winning the title after so long. Arguably, can I say that moment was worth more than the Invincible season?
Ooh, I don't. Well, you could say that, and not. They were great. It was a great season. The reason that it's a great season because Arsenal nearly cocked it up. I mean, we was home and dry at one stage, and then we lost a couple of silly home games. I know we lost to Derby, who were down the bottom. I think we're going to get relegated, and Wimbledon dropped 5 points, a little bit like Man United did in the last week, So we and then we had to go to Anfield, but it was because of everything that it was fantastic. But the Invincibles is something you can never take away. It's something that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. If I did think any team would have done it, it would have probably been Liverpool back in the 80s, and that was an awesome side then, and the great Man United sides under Alex Ferguson and things like that. So I feel that what is the best,
Because
listen,
also, Lee, before you decide, that did come after what, 18 years without winning the league. So that is why I asked the question, not because
yeah,
of Michael
listen,
Thompson scoring it.
I'll be totally honest with you. You know, when I started following Arsenal, Arsenal were never looking like they was ever going to win the league. George Graham come along and made us believe that, oh, hold on a minute, we could win the league. So to actually win the league for the first time that I can remember, not in my lifetime because I was born before 71, but to actually win a league was fantastic. And then to go and do it again a couple of years later was unbelievable. And then to go, then I'm thinking, well, we're never going to win the Premier League. Man United and these teams, Newcastle, if you remember them,
Mm-hmm.
well, you wouldn't, but Newcastle were a dominant side.
Sure.
And then there was Blackburn. And I think, well, it's never going to be us. And then all of a sudden, Arsene Wenger came in and you know done what he done. So and listen, took the Man United had it all their own way. They was having it all their own way, doing what they were, and then Arsene Wenger and Arsenal come along and changed that. And so they're great memories and great trophies. But Manchester United have won the double. Man City have won the double. I think they won the domestic treble. Liverpool have won the double. No one else has got the invincibles, so that's why
Right.
it's special.
Right. I mean, I think the way y'all talk about the Invincibles is the way we talk about the '99 treble, because
Yeah,
no
yeah.
one else is that at the Premier League. But Lee, you mentioned George Graham and Arsene Wenger, and this is what I want to ask you: 1-0 to the Arsenal with an Ian Wright goal, or sort of Arsene Wenger's intricate football, which got you out of your seat? Football's an art, and there's no other way to look at it. Or George Graham sort of 1-0 to the Arsenal. What sort of what brings back happier memories almost?
Listen, watching Arsenal, two best memories I've ever had as an Arsenal fan. The two best things is 1987 semi-final against Tottenham at White Hart Lane, last minute goal by David Rocastle under George Graham. The obviously the best other one was of course Anfield, 89 under George Graham. So they've given me my best two memories as an Arsenal fan. Can't get away from that. But under Arsene Wenger and the football to go on and win the doubles in '98 and 2002 were absolutely incredible. They were incredible. Um, and the way we went about it, the style of football, the way we played for that first 10 years under Arsene Wenger was magic moments, absolutely magic. And even when we weren't so good under Arsene Wenger, we still played some good football. We was a really good team to
Absolutely.
watch. Frustrating to watch at times, but a really really good side. So all in all, um, both were very very special. But different eras, you know what I mean? Like, George Graham era was a lot, most of that was, terraces and things like that. The Arsene Wenger was all seater stadium. So it's hard to compare, but both good times to be
Absolutely.
about.
So you spoke about sort of the Wenger period and sort of Manchester United having it their own way. That is probably one of the greatest rivalries in the
Oh,
world, not just the Premier League. So how was it living through that? Because I have sort of vague memories from it. I was probably too young to remember exactly what it was like. But you, I mean, had a first-hand view, the front row seat of watching Vieira and Keane go at it. So how did you think that was, and how can you describe that? What you'd feel in those games?
wow. They were the games. They were awesome games, but also football has changed now, where the tackles would be flying in. Let's be honest now. The 2005 time when you stopped the record, Man United have had four players sent off that day, and probably should have had three players sent off that day on that day. But there was tackles flying in, like Roy Keane and I don't care what anybody says, Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira would still be able to play today. But when they played in that era, they were awesome. They were absolutely awesome. Patrick Vieira to me was probably the greatest player I've ever watched play at Arsenal. He had everything, and we watching him and have the privilege to watch him week in, week out was fantastic. But we had like Bergkamp, Henry, Ian Wright, Nicholas and Nelka. You can run
Yes.
them all off how great they were. And the same for Man United. They had like some top players. And when those two teams come together, it was fireworks. It really was, you know. And if you managed to get one over on them, you knew that you was in a good position. And it was to go to Old Trafford and get a result was special. You know, it's always good to get a result at Man United now, but same as it would be for Man United at the Emirates. But those days there, well, if you got the win at either one of those great, or even at home, you know, you'd earn it. You'd earn it, and they were great games. And I'll tell you what, there were times when Man United give us a good hiding, and there were times when Arsenal give them a good hiding, and it was, you know. But then there was the tight games that were intense, you know, and cup final as well, when Man United outplayed us and somehow we got a result. Just great times. And unfortunately, and it's, you know, it has to be said that Man United and Arsenal have dropped from those standards. They have, you know, and which does happen because Liverpool, you know, in the 80s were the best, and then all of a sudden, you know, they weren't to be seen for a few years. So, and what Arsenal, Man United have got to do is get back to those standards. And I think that game on yesterday was a little bit like that. You know, there was that intensity, that there was something on the game, which hasn't been there for a while, like, you know. So that was good to see.
You know, you mentioned the players, but I think two important aspects to that rivalry were also that it was relevant. Today, while Man United might be in a title race, it's not really relevant. It doesn't impact, it doesn't send shockwaves in the Premier League if an Arsenal Man United result no more does that. It was relevant back then. We were going for the title,
Yeah.
both of us. And also the two managers, I mean, probably two of the greatest managers to have ever graced the Premier League in Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson. So that added a lot more spice to it as well. But
Yeah, 100%.
which is that one player from that era from Man United that you'd like, you know, sit on your couch and be like, oh, I wish I had that guy. Maybe not, maybe he wasn't the best, but you personally excited you and you thought that he'd make the Arsenal team better.
Well, the best. Aaron, say one of my favourite. I hated Man United and still do. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest. You know what I mean? But the one player that I've always loved for Man United, Eric Cantona, just, you know, absolutely brilliant. Now, would he make Arsenal better at that time? Probably not, because we had Dennis Bergkamp. But I just like I like the swagger of him. I like the way he played. There was a nasty side to him, and do you know what? The best thing about him was you never knew what he was going to get. There was always that uncertainty. That added to this, you know, the spice of him, you know. And he, for a couple of, listen, he made Man United a decent team into the team they were, you know what I mean? And for he come there, Man United were struggling. Whether they would have won the league that year, I don't think they would have. But he just took them over the line and beyond. And wonderful player. Like, I've been fortunate enough to meet a couple of Man United players who, you know, and they all speak very highly of how good he was.
Right.
So Eric Cantona, like, yeah.
Right. So Lee, you mentioned that the teams have sort of dropped off, both Arsenal and Man United. How much of that do you put on the board? And just sort of an extension of that question, in the past 5 or 6 years, have you ever gone and seen the obnoxiously high sort of season ticket prices that Arsenal pay? Have you gone up and seen that, be like, you know, why am I renewing this? They don't even perform. They don't deserve what I'm putting into the club.
Well, Arsenal are a money-making machine. You know, it's a cash cow. The Emirates is a cash cow. You know, look at, you know, they advertise 15 shirts a time now. Like, do you know what I mean? Warm up. They come out in a different warm-up top yesterday. Like, you know, it's the way it is. You know, the prices that they pay and everything like that. Of course, it's down to the, you know, the board. You know, people turn around and say it's not about money and things like that. Well, let me tell you, when you go into Chelsea's tunnel, it's got 1950 league title, right? 1950, and then when Abramovich takes over, trophy, like all lined up, you know. So that's it. Manchester City, in all my life, got to one cup final against Spurs and blew it. You know what I mean? Like, and I've seen him in the third League One. I've seen him in the Championship. Always down the bottom, going like relegation, battling for relegation. All of a sudden, they get their owners in now and look at them. So don't tell me that the owners don't influence things, they do. Man United, on the other end, is a funny one because I think that they've got owners in there that have spent money, but they've got people in there that are incompetent of
Yeah.
spending that money properly. Because if you look at what Man United have spent, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
But they're getting there. And Arsenal, people. I'm going to say it like when they go, "I've had a good transfer window." Yeah, we had a good transfer window. We've got rid of all our players and we've got 2 loans in. And that's the standard that Arsenal are setting now, 2 loans, so not good,
Yeah, yeah, completely agree with you. But in hindsight, would you say that Arsenal fans didn't treat Arsene Wenger with the respect he deserved by the time he left? Because clearly, no manager's taken over and done much better.
Very, very difficult. A very, very difficult thing because Arsene Wenger was fantastic for 10 years. And I think, I'm going to say that fantastic for 15 years, getting teams into the top 4. As it happens, was mocked by other clubs, uh, the media. Now Arsene Wenger ain't now. Man United are going for top 4. It's a great thing to be and whatever, So I think that there is a little bit of harshness on that. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. But at the end of the day, Arsene Wenger, for whatever reason, chose the money men of Arsenal. We went down that route, backing the ball and not the fans. And I think that's what ultimately hurt the Arsenal fans. Now, whether they treated him right or wrong, listen, I never abused him. I criticised him and everything there, but it got toxic at Arsenal. There's no 2 ways about it. And do I think that he stayed for a little bit longer than what he did? Yeah, but listen, there was people in 2008 wanting him out. You know what I mean? And I certainly wasn't at that stage. But it comes to because you really wanted him to do well. Even in his last few seasons, as much as you was criticising him, you still wanted him to do well. But it's a tough one. I think that maybe if you'd have been able to spend the money or whatever. Who knows? No one really knows what the ins and outs of that were like, And unfortunately, in football, things never really turn out right. You can go down the Frank Lampard one, which is very, very ruthless, or you can do what Arsenal done and keep Arsene Wenger on too long. So it's a difficult one,
Right. But Lee, just to wrap up now, what do you expect from Arsenal this season? Do you think realistically you can make a Champions League or even a Europa League spot at this point in time?
I think the Europa League spot is doable. Top 4, no, I can't see it. In saying that, you get results like Leicester losing at home to Leeds today. You can't predict it, So why, if we'd have beaten Man United, who knows? You know what I mean? I think we need to go on a run of about 7 or 8 wins from now on. I don't think Arsenal are capable of doing it. Now, if Arsenal win their 7 or 8 games, that doesn't mean to say they're going to be anywhere near it because the teams up there might win their 7 or 8 games. So it's a very, very difficult situation. I think we've got to look at trying to get into the Europa League that route, but obviously you've got yourselves in there, as a tough arse. Tottenham's going to be tough. I think there's a couple of, I think Roma and Napoli are in there, I know. So there's some tough teams in there. So AC Milan are in there, I'm pretty sure. So, and we've got Benfica, which is a very, very difficult game. So I think that what we've got to do is try and get as high as in the league. I think like 5th, 6th, 7th is where we're going to finish. And hopefully do well in the Europa League. But I just don't think we've got a big enough and strong enough squad to be able to do it this season.
So which player would you pin that on, that 7-game run you'd want to go on? Which player do you think would be the most important one? And how impressed have you been with Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe?
Listen, I think I when he wasn't playing yesterday, I was so disappointed. 19-year-old kid. I just think I think he's the best player, teenage player in the town. I think Foden's now 20, so I think that teenage-wise, I think that Saka gets it. I think that you could see it yesterday. Without him yesterday, we're not quite as a good a side. He's key. And maybe Arteta felt that me leaving him out of this game is better in the long run, and that just shows you how important he is. And for me, it is Saka. I think he's fantastic. Smith Rowe is becoming more important game by game. So it's bad that Arsenal are relying on kids, but that is the case at the moment.
Right, right. And finally, just this last question: how heartbroken will you be, or how hard pressed will you be if Tottenham Hotspur do go on to win a trophy this season?
Let's not go there. Let's not. Unthinkable. Unthinkable.
With Jose Mourinho in the seat, I mean, I know AFTV is not a big fan of Jose Mourinho, especially a few of y'all there, but it is possible they are in the EFL final.
Yeah, I'm a Manchester City fan for that, and I'm a big Everton fan in the FA Cup at the moment, and we're still in the Europa League, so I'll support Arsenal, But at the moment, I'm a Everton fan. I'm just going to go and watch Brighton Tottenham now, so I'm a Brighton fan tonight. But when it comes to those Everton for the cup and Manchester City for the League Cup, definitely.
That's wonderful, Lee. Lee, thank you so
No,
much. Lee, thank you so
no
much for
problem.
being on. I think it's
No,
been.
really enjoyed it, really enjoyed it,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. So, guys, that's Lee Judges from Arsenal Fan TV. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you'll like the video too. Do subscribe to our channel if you're watching it for the first time. And we hope to see you around for a lot more content and see you soon. Bye bye.